Good evening, class. Welcome to your daily current affairs on paper Hindu. So we'll see what are the important articles for today. Right. So Lok Sabha passes bills to replace British era criminal laws. Okay. So what does this article say? ఈ యొక్క బ్రిటిష్ కొలోనియల్ ఎరా టైంలో ఉన్న క్రిమినల్ లాస్ని రీప్లేస్ చేయబడే ఆ త్రీ బిల్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో అవి రీప్లేస్ చేయడం జరిగింది. లోక్సభ హ్యాస్ పాస్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ బిల్. Okay. So yes, that is what they have mentioned. We'll see with this article. New laws are designed for the next 100 years, will remove colonial imprint, says Home Minister. So terrorism included in a separate category. So you need to understand that ఈ యొక్క న్యూ లాస్ ఏం చేస్తాయి నెక్స్ట్ 100 yearsకి సరిపడేలా డిజైన్ చేయబడింది. విల్ రిమూవ్ దట్ కొలోనియల్ ఇంప్రింట్. దట్ మీన్స్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఈజ్ దట్ ఈజ్ ప్రెసెంట్ ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ కొలోనియల్ నేచర్ ఆర్ బ్రిటిష్ ఒక టర్మినాలజీస్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో వాళ్ళ యొక్క సూపర్ పొజిషన్ కావచ్చు ఆర్ దేర్ సుప్రిమసీ కావచ్చు అలాంటి ఒక టర్మ్స్ అన్ని కూడా రిమూవ్ చేయడం జరిగింది. దట్ ఇస్ వాట్ హోమ్ మినిస్టర్ హస్ మెన్షన్. అండ్ టెర్రరిజం ఈస్ గివెన్ అ సపరేట్ కేటగిరీ ఇన్ దిస్ బిల్. రైట్. సెడిషన్ ఈస్ బీన్ dropped. Then mob lynching to invite death penalty. So death penalty is also existing and mob lynching is given in that way, right? So mob lynching will also be inviting your death punishment or death penalty, right? Lok Sabha on Wednesday passed the 3 amended bills that seek to repeal and replace criminal laws. So what is this about? ఈ లోక్ సభ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఆ లోక్సభలో ఈ 3 బిల్స్ అమెండెడ్ బిల్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో అవి పాస్ చేయడం జరిగింది. విచ్ విల్ బి రీప్లేసింగ్ బిల్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ dated back to the colonial era. What are those? So you have this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita bill, second version, not the first version. Second one will replace the Indian Penal Code of 1860. So Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita bill is replacing this Indian Penal Code of 1860. Might be asked for your MCQs. Important, right? The Bharatiya Saksha second bill, which is BSS, will replace the Indian Evidence Act of 1872. Then Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha second, so that is also a second version. This will also be replacing. Okay, so you need to understand BNSS will replace the IPC of 1860. BSS will replace the Evidence Act. Then BNSSS will replace your Criminal Procedure of 1898, which is CRPC. All three were discussed and passed with a voice vote in the absence of the majority of opposition members from the India bloc parties, as 97 of them have been suspended during the session. So most of the opposition was being suspended to maintain that peace and security in this particular parliament. Now what happened? With the lack of opposition, this particular bill has been passed. If the quorum is being maintained, then the Lok Sabha can pass a particular bill. So quorum is again 1/10. So they've made these people opposition to be suspended there. So they've been suspended, and this particular 3 bills will be passed in Lok Sabha. Home Minister Ramesh Shah said that the 3 bills stressed justice rather than punishment and have been designed to last for the next century. So for the next 100 years, this will be relevant enough. So that is what they have mentioned. So apart from that death punishment is not being removed, which will include doctors from criminal prosecution. So Mr. Shah moved an amendment to BNSS, which will exclude doctors from criminal prosecution for death due to medical negligence and will make hit and run accident cases punishable by 10 years imprisonment. So the one accident, if accident is happening, accident జరిగి కొట్టేసి పారిపోయారు అనుకుందాం. So that particular punishment will be lasting for 10 years to till imprisonment. So it will last from 10 years imprisonment. So that imprisonment will be till 10 years. Okay, right. Next article. Ardha Mandra to be an annual affair. So what does this mean? Ardha Mandra program, which is being conducted in the state for the first time. So it is nowhere connected all over the country. So this have these 5 different games to be conducted at the Sachivalayam level. So డిఫరెంట్ సచివాలయంస్లోనే ఈ పర్టికులర్ గేమ్స్ జరగాలి. టోటల్ 5 గేమ్స్ అండి. సో విచ్ విల్ బి లైక్ యువర్ క్రికెట్, బ్యాడ్మింటన్, ఖోఖో, all these things. So total around 5 games will be there. All these 5 games will be included. ఈ 5 games లోనూ again you will be having a men and women category. ఓకే, సో వాలీబాల్ కావచ్చు, బ్యాడ్మింటన్ కావచ్చు, క్రికెట్, ఖోఖో, కబడ్డీ, సో ఆల్ ఫైవ్ విల్ బి కనెక్టెడ్ ఫర్ మెన్ అండ్ విమెన్. ఓకే, సో ఈ యొక్క ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో దిస్ విల్ బి యాన్యువల్ అఫేర్. దట్ మీన్స్ ఫర్ ద నెక్స్ట్ ఇయర్ టు దిస్ విల్ బి హ్యాపెనింగ్ అని చీఫ్ మినిస్టర్ గారు వీసీలో చెప్పడం జరిగింది. ఓకే, సో ఎస్, జస్ట్ అన్ అప్డేట్ ఫర్ యూ అంతే అవర్ స్కీమ్స్. నెక్స్ట్ 41.5 crore రిలీజ్డ్ అండర్ విదేశీ విద్యా దీవెన. Right. So 41.5 crore has been released under Videshi Vidya Divana. So for whom this particular Videshi Vidya Divana is being given? So this is given for those students who are being who will be going to this abroad. Top 100 universities people will only be receiving this. We'll see this in particular. Okay. The state government on Wednesday released 41.59 crore towards Videshi Vidya Divana and 1.05 crore for Jaganana Civil Services Protsahakam schemes. So for those people who have cleared prelims, who are attempting mains, for those who are from mains they've qualified to interview, for all these people this Jaganana Civil Services in the state. So for those people this particular scheme will be available. While the Videshi Vidya Divana aims at helping 390 students pursue their education overseas, Jaganana Civil Services Protsahakam helps 106 aspirants for those who are appearing for UPSC examinations. I mean, it's not that whoever apply will get it. It is that who are clearing prelims or those who are clearing mains. So for those people, this particular amount will be credited. So total amount was around 42.64 crore. Right. He said that the government had been implementing Videshi Vidya Divana scheme to prevent the parents of aspirants from falling into debt trap. So Civil Services Protsahakam was being released for the first time. The government was reimbursing 9.5 crore towards this particular fees for 51 students. So you don't need to know that deep. Just understand that this program is going to be connected. So Videshi Vidya Divana and this Civil Services Protsahakam will be released. Okay. So under the Civil Services Protsahakam, SC, ST, BC, EBC and other minority aspirants who clear preliminary examination will be getting up to 1 lakh, okay, incentive and 50,000 after passing mains. So after passing the main examinations, for the first prelims they'll be getting 1 lakh, and then for the mains if they pass they'll be getting another 50,000. Okay, so that is how you need to understand. Under Videshi Vidya Divana, who will be the beneficiaries, that you need to know. So under the Videshi Vidya Divana scheme, the government would reimburse fees up to 1.25 crore to each SC, ST, BC and minority students for up to 1 crore. Okay, so for up to 1 crore, this particular Videshi Vidya Divana will be claimed. Okay, to the EBC students who pursue higher education, 21 diverse faculties in 350 education institutions affiliating to 50 universities. So that is something you need to understand. 21 diverse faculties with 350 education institutions. Okay, right. So and what is the maximum amount that will be given to them? Till 1 crore they can claim. Okay, right. We'll go with the next article. More of political news today. So apart from that, whatever is important, we will see only that. Yes. So India will definitely look into Panan assassination bid, says Prime Minister. So what is this about? Pro-Khalistan activist Mr. Gurpatwant Singh Panan, ఆ పర్సన్ మీదకి ప్లాట్ మన ఇండియన్సే, సో తనని చంపడానికి ప్లాట్ మన ఇండియన్సే వేశారు ఒక పర్సన్ అని చెప్పి రిపోర్ట్ యుఎస్ నుంచి వచ్చింది. సేమ్ రిపోర్ట్, సిమిలర్ రిపోర్ట్ has been given by Canadian government too on the killing of Mr. Nizar, who is again pro-Khalistan activist. So they have mentioned that it is Indians' hand presence in plotting this particular assassination. So for that, what our Prime Minister has responded is that India will definitely look into this assassination plot. Yes, we will definitely take action. I will try to investigate into it deeply. So India will definitely examine the allegations of an attempt to assassinate US-based pro-Khalistan activist Gurpantwant Singh Panan if provided with adequate evidence, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in an interview to the Financial Times published on Wednesday. In his first public remarks on the case, Mr. Modi highlighted his government's commitment to the rule of law and expressed concern about the activities of pro-Khalistan groups based in Western countries. So he mentioned that his government is committed to the rule of law. So they're telling that yes, we respect this rule of law, and he has also expressed the concerns over the activists. So these people, pro-Khalistan people who are trying to divide the country. So what Mr. Modi is trying to do, he is trying to give that emphasis to the countries like USA and Canada, stating that yes, we have certain concerns towards this pro-Khalistan, against this pro-Khalistani leaders. However, we'll take into consideration this assassination bit and will further look into it. That is what our Prime Minister have mentioned. So if someone gives us any information, we would like to definitely look into it. If a citizen of ours has done anything good or bad, we are ready to look into it. Our commitments is to the rule of law. That is what Mr. Modi has mentioned. So that is something you need to understand. Here, two aspects you need to understand. Number one, pro-Khalistani leader has been assassinated. Either if it is the case of USA or if it is the case of Canada. Now the issue is that the allegations that India is facing and the level of impact that we have because of this Khalistani movement. Both are important. One is important. The Khalistani movement is important for our internal security, whereas this assassination bid and issues with the USA and Canada simultaneously will be interrupting or disrupting our relationship, international relationship with USA and Canada. This particular article is entirely about USA. Okay, right. Lok Sabha passes this Telecom Bill 2023 to replace 138-year-old Telegraph Act. So earlier also we have discussed the similar article that it has been passed in Rajya Sabha, and right now it is being passed in Lok Sabha too. So Lok Sabha on Wednesday passed this Omnibus Telecom Bill of 2023, which will replace the existing laws, including 138-year-old Indian Telegraph Act. So the bill seeks to reform and simplify the regulatory and licensing regime for telecommunications and remove bottlenecks in creating telecom infrastructure. So that is how they're going to focus upon. It also allows, so they're going to replace, simply understand that ఈ 130-year-old Telegraph Act ఏదైతే ఉందో దాన్ని రీప్లేస్ చేయడం జరిగింది. And what is this particular bill do? It just simplifies that regulatory procedure. A licensing regime will be simplified. Okay, right. And whatever the bottleneck that they are facing up, they are going to remove it. Okay, for all those telecom service providers. And it also allows the government to temporarily take control of the telecom services in the interest of national security and provide a non-auction route for the allocation of satellite spectrum. So this is something, a major lacuna or major, what we can say, it can be used under the discretion in a positive way or in a negative way too. So what does this provision say is that for a temporary span of time, this telecom services can be handed over by the government. That means it can act in the discretionary mode. Okay, so that is something you need to understand. In a discretionary way, they can act. Right. Amid suspensions, the bill was passed by voice vote after the discussion, after a short discussion. So most of the opposition members did not attend this house following their suspension. So of course, as I told you, many of the opposition leaders have been suspended, so they have not attended. But however, the topic here is about the Telecom Bill 2023, which provides a mechanism to access the right of way for laying telecom infrastructure in public as well as in the private property. Now, the central government may provide for measures to protect users, such as requiring prior consent to receive specified messages and creation that do not disturb the register. So basically, what does this particular act do is, in simplified terms, if you can take, this is just going to help the particular user to use their services in the telecommunications efficiently. At the same time, it is also providing the necessary conditions for the telecom services to deliver the services efficiently. That's all, nothing more than that. Okay, so it might be about the spectrum, it might be about the about the registration procedure. Everything has been simplified. Simple. That's all. Right. Authorization will be simplified. Right. We'll go with the next article. So yes, like in yesterday's class or in the day before yesterday class, we have discussed about this JN.1 cases. So growing cases of COVID-19, right? So government issues COVID-19 alert, says no clustering of JN1 cases. The WHO classifies JN.1 as a separate variant of interest from the parent lineage of BA 2.86. So the health ministry says that the data says that 92.8% of the cases in India were isolated at home, indicating mild illness. So there is mild illness, that's all. Okay, right. Noting that the daily COVID-19 positivity cases rate in some states like Kerala, Maharashtra, just give me a moment. Right. So, noting that the daily COVID-19 positivity rate in some states like Kerala, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Karnataka has risen, the Union Health Ministry on Wednesday issued this alert that no clustering of cases in JN1 variant of SARS-CoV-2 had been reported. So they've clearly mentioned that yes, this variant. So many of the states have mentioned that yes, they have this COVID-19 positivity, and they have issued an alert, said that no clustering cases. As of now, there is no clustering cases existing in this particular COVID-19 SARS virus. Okay, so yes, the variant is currently under intense scientific scrutiny, but not a cause of immediate concern. As of now, it is not a cause of immediate concern, but we need to be in alert situation. So all JN1 cases were found to be mild, and all of them have recovered without any complications. So వీళ్ళు ఏం చెప్తున్నారు అని అంటే టెస్ట్లు చేసుకున్నప్పటికీ కూడా కొంతమంది చేసుకున్నా చేసుకోకపోయినా కూడా దిస్ ఇస్ ఇంపాక్టింగ్ వెరీ మైల్డ్లీ. సో సింపుల్ రెస్ట్ విల్ డూ. ఓకే, so that is something you need to understand. But what the states have been given instructions is that ramp up testing. So we have this testing that we have to do. So just speed up the testing and increase the level of testing that you're conducting. The states have been requested to ramp up testing and refer large number of samples of COVID-19 positive cases and pneumonia-like illnesses in INSA-CoV genome sequencing laboratories daily for sequencing and to track new variants. So India has recorded 614 new coronavirus cases or infections, the highest since May 21st. So that is what they have mentioned. So far, 614 cases, new coronavirus cases have been reported. So since May, this is again a new one. So far it has peaked now. That is something, a matter of concern which we need to keep in mind. Okay, right. We have one last article which is very important for today's session. We'll see that. In the entire paper, this article is very important other than that three bills passage. Okay, right. Outcomes of COP28 climate summit, very important for your examination, especially for the part of environment. What is India's stake? That is also important. What came of the global first global stock take at this conference of parties, at this year's conference of parties? What were the novel mechanisms introduced with respect to accelerating green finance? Why did India not sign the health and methane reduction declaration? So why did India did not sign these two? What are these? Health and methane reductions. So for that we need some explanation. We need to know what are the drawbacks that India will face. Okay, and why did we not adopt, why we did not sign these particular two things? That is also important. You can expect a question definitely on this. Okay, so 28th session of the conference of parties, COP, an annual convening of countries signatory to the UNFCCC, so which is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, happened in Dubai this year. We know that it has happened in Dubai, and there were major criticism on Dubai that it was one of the leading places for crude oil exports, and still that particular place has taken the hosting for conference of parties, which is actually working for the pro climate. Okay, so pro climate or against climate change, right? So expectations that the countries would take concrete steps to address this climate crisis. Fine. So following the agreement reached to COP27 to create loss and damage fund, and the last year was dedicated to negotiations on fund management and financing. In a historic decision, the fund was operationalized by COP28. సో ఈ లాస్ అండ్ డ్యామేజ్ అని ఒక ఫండ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో దాని గురించి డిస్కషన్, డిబేట్, ఎంతవరకు ఫండ్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ చేయాలి, ఎంతవరకు మనము ఈ యొక్క ఫండ్ ని యాక్సెస్ చేయగలగాలి, హౌ ఫార్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఆపరేషనలైజ్డ్, ఎవ్రీథింగ్ దే హావ్ బీన్ అడ్రసింగ్. ఓకే, సో earlier there was only discussion and debates. However, it has come into operationalized from this particular COP28. So what does the COP28 say? COP28 outcomes had a lot of fuss, such as, so what are those? Such as declaration on climate and health, acknowledgement of the role of nature-based solutions for biodiversity, conservation, climate. So there are many firsts. Ante ఫర్ ద ఫస్ట్ టైం డెసిషన్స్ తీసుకున్నారు చాలా ఉన్నాయన్నమాట COP28లో. ఏంటేంటివి? సో ఫస్ట్ టైం ఏం డిక్లేర్ చేశారు? డిక్లరేషన్ ఆన్ క్లైమేట్ అండ్ హెల్త్ జరగడం జరిగింది. అక్నాలెడ్జ్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ద రోల్ ఆఫ్ నేచర్ బేస్డ్ సొల్యూషన్. ఓకే, నేచర్ బేస్డ్ సొల్యూషన్స్ ఫర్ బయోడైవర్సిటీ, కన్జర్వేషన్ అండ్ క్లైమేట్. సో నేచర్ బేస్డ్ సొల్యూషన్ అంటే ఏంటి? ఎకో ఫ్రెండ్లీగా ఏ సొల్యూషన్ తీసుకురాగలం మనం బయోడైవర్సిటీ కన్జర్వేషన్ కి, క్లైమేటిక్ చేంజ్ కి అగెయిన్స్ట్ గా అన్నది ఇంకొక పాయింట్ డిస్కస్ చేశారు. అండ్ ద నీడ్ టు ట్రాన్సిషన్ అవే ఫ్రమ్ ఫాసిల్ ఫ్యూయల్స్. అండ్ మెనీ అదర్ కంట్రీస్ హావ్ ఆల్సో మెన్షన్ దట్ yes, by 2030 we will do away with this fossil fuels. By 2050 we will do. And however, our country's net zero emissions is by 2070. That is something you need to know. Next, some 134 countries also agreed to landmark declaration to transition to sustainable and resilient food systems, even the food chain to be more sustainable and resilient nature. Right, we will see this article in a precise way because this is very important for your examination. Right, so yes, 28th session of your conference of parties held in Dubai. So that was as it is an annual convening meeting, so every year it will be conducting by FCCC, right, happened in Dubai with high expectations that countries would take concrete steps to address the climatic crisis. So in this, what has happened? What happened with respect to the loss and damage fund? So this loss and damage fund was initially been under the discussion in COP27, and a historic decision has been taken to operationalize this COP28. What does this mean? By COP28, this operationalizing of loss and damage fund has been taken as a decision. However, only a meager of $790 million has been pledged so far by different nations, despite the corpus requiring $100 billion. So we need $100 billion, but the pledge so far, the countries have pledged to only $790 million. So drawback. Still, how much we need? So it is more than $400 billion a year. So now, despite the corpus requiring $100 billion to more than $400 billion so far, if they analyze, అంటే వీళ్ళు అనలైజ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇనీషియల్గా ఏమని అనలైజ్ చేసినప్పుడు క్లైమేటిక్ చేంజ్ యొక్క దాన్ని వాళ్ళ యొక్క ఇష్యూస్ని అవాయిడ్ చేయడానికి కావాల్సిన ఫండ్ ఎంత కావాలంటే $100 billion per year అని అనుకున్నారు. బట్ later on, now they understood that they try to move to $400 billion a year. Notably, US, the largest historical emitted, committed to only $17.5 million. So despite being a smaller country, but being a powerful economic country and maximum contributor to this issue, ఈ క్లైమేటిక్ చేంజ్ కి మాక్సిమం కాంట్రిబ్యూటర్ వాళ్ళు అయినప్పటికీ కూడా వాళ్ళు ఎంత కాంట్రిబ్యూషన్ ప్లేట్ చేశారో ఓన్లీ $17.5 million. So moreover, the World Bank was designated to oversee and administer the fund, but concerns originating from the experience of developing countries with the World Bank related to questions about legal autonomy, flexibility and decision-making authority, and general skepticism about the fund's agility in responding promptly to emergencies have emerged. So there is also a prevailing sentiment among countries that the communities affected by climate related disasters should be able to directly access this funding, preferably in the form of grants and not loans. So you need to understand that in this particular meeting they have got into one particular decision that ఒక కంట్రీకి డిజాస్టర్ ఇష్యూ వచ్చినప్పుడు, క్లైమేట్ రిలేటెడ్ డిజాస్టర్ జరిగినప్పుడు దానికి గ్రాంట్స్ రావాలి. గ్రాంట్స్ కి లోన్స్ కి తేడా ఏంటంటే, గ్రాంట్స్ అంటే ఇచ్చిన అమౌంట్ మళ్ళీ రిటర్న్ చేయక్కర్లేదు, వెరాజ్ లోన్ అంటే దానికి ఇంట్రెస్ట్ తో పాటు రిటర్న్ ఇవ్వాల్సి వస్తుంది. సింపుల్. ఓకే, రైట్. మన ఇండియా స్టేక్ చూద్దాం. మన ఇండియాలో మనం ఆ పర్టికులర్ మీటింగ్ ఏం డెసిషన్ తీసుకున్నాం. సో యుఏ డిక్లరేషన్ ఆన్ క్లైమేట్ and health came into being at COP28 through a partnership of COP28 presidency with WHO. Right. So for the first time, what they did is they wanted to come out with a proper solution for addressing this climate related health impacts. Okay, so yes, it recognizes that the growing health impacts of climate change and acknowledges the benefits of climate action, okay, including reduction of air pollution and lowering the cost of healthcare. So they have understood that with the growing climate change, it is also increasing the expenses which is related to health. And also now the major thing is that they have to reduce this air pollution, and also they have to lower this cost or expenditure on healthcare. Right. So the declaration signed by 123 countries have collectively committed to $1 billion to address this growing climate health crisis. However, India did not sign this declaration because reducing greenhouse gases emissions in the health sector would mean reduction in emissions from gases used for cooling. As India's healthcare infrastructure is growing, such a commitment would comprise or would compromise the healthcare requirements of a growing population, particularly rural. So what happened? మనం ఎందుకు ఈ గ్రీన్ హౌస్ రిడక్షన్ దీనికి ఆ ఎమిషన్స్ దానికి మనం ఎందుకు సైన్ చేయలేదు? సో దిస్ ఇస్ వాట్ అ సైన్. వై వాట్ డిడ్ వి డింట్ సైన్ డిక్లరేషన్? బికాస్ రెడ్యూసింగ్ greenhouse gases emissions. So what was the declaration that we haven't signed? See here, ఈ యొక్క యుఏ డిక్లరేషన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో క్లైమేట్ అండ్ హెల్త్ మీద మనం సైన్ చేయలేదు. ఎందుకు చేయలేదు? దీని మీద మనం దాన్ని కంట్రోల్ చేయాలి. ఇప్పుడు ఎయిర్ పొల్యూషన్, గ్రీన్ హౌస్ గ్యాసెస్ ఇవన్నీ హెల్త్ సెక్టార్లో మనం కంట్రోల్ చేయాలి అని అంటే మనము ఈ కూలెంట్ గ్యాసెస్ ఏవైతే ఉంటాయి, సో కూలింగ్ పర్పస్ ఏవైతే మనం యూజ్ చేస్తామో దాన్ని మనం రిమూవ్ చేయగలగాలి. సో దాని మీద మనం పెట్టే ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ తగ్గించాలి. బట్ ఇండియా సినారియో తీసుకుంటే రైట్ నో ఇండియా ఇస్ గోయింగ్ వెరీ హ్యూజ్లీ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు హెల్త్ సెక్టర్. సో రైట్ నో ఇఫ్ యూ సైన్ దట్ దెన్ ద గ్రోత్ ఇన్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ సెక్టర్ మైట్ బి స్టాగ్నెంట్. అందుకు మనం ఇండియా ఒప్పుకోలేదు. ఓకే, సో దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ వన్ థింగ్. నెక్స్ట్, గ్లోబల్ మీథేన్ ప్లెడ్జ్ ఇది కూడా లాంచ్ చేశారు. సో దిస్ వాజ్ ఎర్లియర్ లాంచ్ ఇన్ COP26 బట్ రిసీవ్డ్ రెన్యూడ్ అటెన్షన్ డ్యూరింగ్ COP28 with climate and clean air coalition, with becoming a new secretariat and partners pledging announcing for more than $1 billion in grants funding projects to reduce methane emissions, especially from agriculture waste and gas sectors. So more than 150 countries signed this, but India isn't a signatory because it shifts focus from carbon dioxide to methane, a GHG which has a lower lifetime. So now ఇక్కడ ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి అంటే మనం మీథేన్ ఎందుకు సైన్ చేయలేదంటే మేజర్ ఇంపాక్ట్ కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ ఎందుకు మనం ఎక్కువ ఫోకస్ చేస్తాం గ్రీన్ హౌస్ గ్యాసెస్ లో అంటే దాని యొక్క లైఫ్ టైం చాలా ఎక్కువ అనమాట. మీథేన్కి అయితే 10 years. సో అంత తక్కువ టైం దాని ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్ వలన మనం ఫస్ట్ ఫోకస్ చేయాల్సింది కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ కదా, మీథేన్ కాదు కదా. కానీ ఇన్ రియాలిటీ మాట్లాడుకుంటే మీథేన్ ద్వారా వచ్చే ఒక కన్సర్న్స్, వాటి యొక్క వచ్చే ఇల్ ఎఫెక్ట్స్ కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ కన్నా చాలా ఎక్కువ. డెస్పైట్ బీయింగ్ అ లోవర్ లైఫ్ టైం gas, the impact of methane is 25 times that of the carbon dioxide which emits for the span of 100 years. Okay, now but what is the actual reason behind this anante India is again an agriculture based country. So apart from its services based sector, agriculture is also one of the major asset for its economy. Now methane emissions is from agriculture. So if we sign that, then again we have to curb our agriculture or any other activities with related to your agriculture. So also methane emissions in India are primarily from rice cultivation and enteric fermentation of livestock rearing, and which supports the livelihoods of small and marginal farmers. సో అందువలన మనం మాట్లాడింది ఇప్పుడు మనం అక్కడ అగ్రికల్చర్ చేయకండి, పోనీ ఈ యొక్క ఎమిషన్స్ లేకుండా చేయండి, మీరు రైస్ కల్టివేట్ చేయకండి అని అంటే ఇక్కడున్న స్మాల్ అండ్ మార్జినల్ ఫార్మర్స్ యొక్క పరిస్థితి ఏంటి? So on keeping all of this in mind, India did not sign both the agreements. So that is your update. Okay, so key takeaways. So you can just go through this, but major important one I have given this, but I sincerely recommend you to go through this entire article, important for you. So yes, that's it for today. We'll meet again in tomorrow's session. Thank you.